the average pension for state employees is somewhere in the neighborhood of $20,000, somewhere between $20,000 and $22,000, and I believe that includes teachers. But I'm not sure.
I'm not sure that it includes teachers.
No.
Right.
It does not include teachers. Okay, so 20 or 22,000, which, in this economy is not a king's ransom.
I believe the median Social Security benefit is, in the state, is $12,000 a year.
I don't know that. I do know that the cost of living increase that we have associated with the public pension system is dramatically more modest than the Social Security cost of living increase. So there is a proposal to tie our cost of living increase to the figure that the federal government uses for Social Security increase. I have no even fantasy about being able to pass that anytime soon. But bottom line is simply that the cost, let me give you a case in point. There's a man who retired as a chief of police from one of the communities of the Cape. He and his wife are now both in their 90s. They have quite sadly outlived their pension, and their pension hasn't come anywhere close to keeping pace with inflation, and they are dramatically below the federal poverty level. I mean, this is a man who, by any standards, was a model public servant, and he's living in absolute poverty in his old age, and it's just profoundly sad.
I'd like, if I could just for a second, I think there was a point made, I don't know who made it before, but I believe it may have been you, Will, when you mentioned your service as a selectman here, and that is something that people forget, and sometimes we talk about how underpaid public servants are, is that there is a real gap between local public servants in terms of compensation and state public servants. And if you take a look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, when they do some of the statistical work they've done on state public servants, the comparisons between them and people who have the same kind of formation, educationally and otherwise, they are paid actually a little bit more. Then you get to the local level, and we have huge issues there, especially in the western part of the state where so many of them are volunteers. They can't even begin to pay these folks. And the interesting thing on that side is these folks start to retire, they're 55, almost 60 in many cases on average in some areas of Massachusetts. You wonder who they're going to replace them with. There's no way to attract folks into that kind of work without any kind of compensation that actually makes it worth their time. So we shouldn't just ball all public servants together, I think is the point. Actually at the state level, I wouldn't say they're handsomely, but the comparisons between the private sector and the public sector are in favor actually of the public sector.